Hello everyone, and welcome to Heroes of Barcadia, a puntastic dungeon exploration game from Rollercrit that uses a unique liquid life system to track HP. Today we'll be showing you how to set up, start, and play on Roll20. The goal of Heroes of Barcadia is to venture through the dungeon in search of reclaiming the Drink Hoard, which was abducted in the middle of the night by a band of monsters, and is being protected somewhere by the Grand Drink Guardian. In order to even attempt to battle the Grand Drink Guardian, however, one must be in possession of 3 power-ups. These power-ups are wondrous artifacts scattered throughout the dungeon, and in some situations, you may need to defeat dangerous monsters or bosses to claim them. When you first load into the Roll20 platform, it may request to access your mic and camera. Depending on how you'll be playing with others in the game, you may want to enable or disable the settings as appropriate. To access these settings, go to the top right corner of your screen and click on the sidebar button. Yours may already be open. Then, click on the gear symbol on the right to access My Settings. Here you'll find the video and audio chat options, as well as some other options we recommend you enable, like the Enable 3D Dice and Automatically Roll 3D Dice settings. Now let's familiarize ourselves with the layout of the game. On the bottom right of the screen, you will see a small, scrollable menu which includes the pieces of the game. First are the dungeon rooms, which should already be dealt out by the GM. Below them, you have the power-up cards, followed by trap tokens, loot cards, and lastly, the starting point, which are also already on the main play space. In the main play area, you will see a hex grid system with 6 hero mats laid out. These hero mats are where you'll place your power-ups face up as you accumulate them throughout the game. Now it's time to choose which hero you'll be adventuring as today. Above every hero's name is a movable character token, which you will drag onto one of the empty starting point tiles. Above every character token, you'll see a yellow health bar which represents the hero's digital health. You may also be playing along at home with either an official Heroes of Barcadia cup, or you've downloaded and printed out our PDF for attaching a health bar to one of your own pint glasses. If you are using the Liquid Life system to track your HP, just remember to update the digital version as well. Do this by clicking on the character token and adjusting the number that pops up in the yellow circle above their head. On the bottom left of your screen, you'll see your Roll20 username. Next to that username is a colored box. Click that box and select the color that best matches the hero that you're adventuring as today. This will ensure the dice color you roll matches your hero's color, just like in the physical game. Above your Roll20 username, you will see your hand. Everyone starts with 3 loot cards, and these cards are always played face down so that only you can see what it is in your hand. If you click on your loot cards, you will see a small preview of your cards. To read a larger description, simply click on one. If you click on someone else's loot cards, you will only see the back of their cards. When you hover over a card, you will see the option to steal, which is a mechanic that may come up in your game, but more on that later. Once everyone is set, it's now time to build the dungeon. On your hero mat, you will see the gray dungeon rooms that were distributed by the GM. Click and drag a dungeon room to the starting point and let go. It will automatically snap into the predetermined hex area. You can design any shape that you like. The only rule for placing dungeon rooms is that they must be touching the starting point or another adjacent dungeon room. Essentially, no floating islands, so get creative. This makes it even more fun to replay Heroes of Barcadia because every time you start the game, you create a new dungeon with a different layout and new paths to discover. Continue placing all dungeon rooms until every single one has been placed on the playing area face down. To determine who goes first, all heroes will roll a die with the highest number going first, then continue in descending order. To roll your dice, hover over the dice icon on the top left section of your screen. It's the second from the bottom of the menu. Then click on the D20 option. If you enabled this earlier, you will now see a 3D dice roll across the screen. Once everyone has rolled, the GM will place the heroes in the turn tracker in the appropriate order. In Heroes of Barcadia, there are essentially 3 separate phases: your turn, between turns, and an opponent's turn. The The top of your loot cards will indicate on which phase they are allowed to be used. On your turn, you may complete one of these actions. Reveal and enter an adjacent room. To do this, right-click on a room adjacent to your hex and select Flip Card. If you are in the starting point, that is considered one big room, so all rooms that touch the starting point are considered adjacent. You may also enter up to 2 revealed rooms, attempt to claim the drink hoard if you are adjacent and in possession of 3 power-ups. Check out the reference card in the journal for a full list of actions and other handy info to keep in mind as you venture through the dungeon. After you have completed one of the actions listed above, your turn is over and the game progresses to the next hero's turn. This rotation is continued until a hero defeats the Grand Drink Guardian while in possession of 3 power-ups, successfully reclaiming the drink hoard for all of Barcadia. Now that you know the gist of the game, let's talk about some things you might run into while playing. If you reveal an enemy, you must attempt to defeat it, and that type of enemy is listed on the top right of the room. For monsters, you can defeat it by rolling a d20 and meeting or exceeding its level, after applying all appropriate modifiers. If you win, you claim the loot listed at the bottom of the card. If you lose, you take the damage listed beneath the level. In a team battle, you'll select another hero to roll with you and add your totals together, again with appropriate modifiers applied. If you meet or exceed the number on the card, you both get the loot. If you fail, you both take the damage listed. In a boss battle, you choose another player to roll against. If you roll higher than your enemy, after all appropriate modifiers, you get the loot and they take the damage. If you don't, you take the damage and no one gets loot. In boss battles, all ties are ignored and re-rolled until a clear winner is determined. When you defeat enemies, you may earn rewards like loot cards and power-ups. For loot cards, hover over the cards with the star on the back until one pops up from the deck. Drag that card over the top of your Roll20 username and add it to your hand. To play that card, drag it from your hand onto the tabletop. It will be played face down. To show the card, right-click it and select Flip Card. For power-ups, hover over the card that has the lightning bolt symbol until one pops out. Then drag it onto the tabletop. Power-ups are always played face up and should be placed in one of the 3 open spots on your hero mat area. Some cards allow you to peek at a dungeon room. To do this, right-click on the room and select Take Card. This will put the dungeon room into your hand, where you can view it, similar to your loot cards, and no one else can see what it is. Once you have viewed it, move it from your hand and onto the tabletop, where it will be displayed face down, and return it to its original location. Lastly, there are some loot cards that allow you to steal someone else's loot card. To do this, click on their hand above their Roll20 username. Hover over a loot card you'd like to take and select Steal Card. This will trigger a prompt on their screen to release that card to you. Once they accept, it will move from their hand and into yours automatically. This brings us to the end of our guide on how to play Heroes of Barcadia on Roll20. Will you be the one to reclaim the drink hoard for all of Barcadia? Only time will tell.